In life, we are taught to help others, to be kind, and to give without expecting anything in return. But wisdom, true wisdom, teaches us discernment. Not everyone deserves our help. The Stoics believed that our energy, time, and efforts must be used wisely. There are those who take but never give, those who manipulate kindness, and those who refuse to help themselves. Today we will explore the 10 types of people we should not help, not out of cruelty, but out of wisdom, because in protecting our peace, we align with virtue, reason, and self-mastery, the core of modern Stoicism. 1. The perpetual victim. In life, we all face hardships, setbacks, and moments of struggle. Pain is inevitable, but growth is a choice. The perpetual victim, however, refuses to take control of their own life. They live in a constant state of blame, pointing fingers at others, society, or fate for their misfortunes. To them, every problem is someone else's fault, and every difficulty is a reason to complain rather than an opportunity to grow. Stoicism teaches us that while we may not control external events, we always control our response to them. A wise person understands that suffering can be a teacher, that challenges forge character, and that personal responsibility is the key to transformation. The perpetual victim, on the other hand, rejects this truth. They resist change, choosing instead to dwell in their misery, using it as a crutch to avoid accountability. Helping such a person often becomes an endless cycle. You offer advice, they reject it. You provide solutions, they find new problems. You extend a hand, they remain stuck. Instead of seeking self-improvement, they seek validation for their suffering. Their goal is not to rise, but to pull others into their despair. This behavior is not only self-destructive, but also harmful to those around them. Their negativity is contagious, their constant complaints drain energy, and their refusal to change creates frustration. You may find yourself investing emotional and mental resources into their problems, only to realize that nothing ever changes. This is because they are not looking for help, they are looking for sympathy, attention, and an excuse to remain where they are. Stoicism teaches us the importance of personal discipline, emotional resilience, and focusing on what we can control. We can show compassion to the perpetual victim, but we must not enable their mindset. True kindness is not indulging self-pity, but encouraging strength. If someone is unwilling to take control of their life, no amount of external help will ever be enough. 2. The chronic taker. Life is built on balance, giving and receiving, contributing and benefiting. But the chronic taker disrupts this balance, always seeking to receive while offering nothing in return. They thrive on the generosity of others, constantly asking for favors, support, and resources without any intention of reciprocating. Whether it's money, time, emotional energy, or opportunities, they take and take, leaving those around them drained and unappreciated. A Stoic understands that relationships, whether personal or professional, should be built on mutual respect and fairness. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors unless with a view to some mutual benefit." This means that our actions should contribute to something greater, not be exploited by those who only seek personal gain. The chronic taker does not operate with a sense of gratitude. They believe they are entitled to the help they receive, seeing others as resources to be used rather than individuals with their own needs and limits. At first, they may appear as victims in need of assistance, but over time their true nature reveals itself. They have no intention of ever giving back. Instead, they latch onto those who are generous and drain them, one request at a time. This type of person comes in many forms. The friend who only calls when they need something. The co-worker who expects you to do their work but never helps in return. The relative who constantly borrows money but never repays it. The person who asks for emotional support but is never there when you need them. Stoicism teaches us that our time and energy are valuable. Epictetus said, "If someone tried to trade you useless words for your money, you would be quick to say no. Yet, how often do we let people steal our time and energy?" We must learn to set boundaries and recognize when someone is taking advantage of our kindness. Helping others is a virtue, but allowing ourselves to be used is foolishness. If someone continuously takes without giving, it is not a sign of need, but of character. A Stoic helps where help leads to growth, but never where it enables selfishness and dependency. 3. The willfully ignorant. Ignorance is not simply a lack of knowledge, it is often a refusal to seek it. The willfully ignorant are not those who lack information, but those who reject wisdom, insight, and truth, even when it is placed right in front of them. They resist learning, dismiss reason, and choose comfort over growth. No matter how much guidance or evidence is provided, they refuse to change their perspective or expand their understanding. A Stoic values wisdom above all else. Seneca reminds us, ignorance is the cause of fear, because a mind that refuses to learn is a mind that remains trapped in its own limitations. The willfully ignorant do not question their beliefs, challenge their assumptions, or seek to improve themselves. Instead, they defend their ignorance with stubbornness, arrogance, or even hostility. Helping such a person is a wasted effort. You can offer knowledge, but they will reject it. You can present logic, but they will dismiss it. You can encourage them to seek growth, but they will cling to their old ways. Their pride often prevents them from admitting that they do not know something, and their ego makes them resistant to change. This type of person can appear in different forms. The one who refuses to accept responsibility for their mistakes, the person who ignores wise counsel because it challenges their comfort. The individual who clings to falsehoods even when presented with undeniable truth. The one who chooses destructive habits despite knowing the consequence. Stoicism teaches us that growth comes from embracing discomfort, seeking knowledge, and practicing humility. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." The willfully ignorant, however, reject this mindset. They do not seek truth, they seek validation for their ignorance. Trying to help them only leads to frustration. A Stoic understands that wisdom cannot be forced upon the unwilling. We can offer guidance, but we must not waste our energy on those who refuse to listen. True wisdom is reserved for those who seek it, not those who run from it. 4. The self-saboteur. The self-saboteur is their own worst enemy. They have dreams, opportunities, and even the support of others, yet they consistently act in ways that undermine their own success. Whether through procrastination, destructive habits, fear of failure, or self-doubt, they create obstacles where none exist. No matter how much help you offer, they find a way to waste it, reject it, or sabotage their progress. Stoicism teaches us that we are responsible for our own lives. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." A Stoic understands that discipline, self-awareness, and right action are necessary for growth. The self-saboteur, however, resists mastery over themselves. They may desire change, but they lack the commitment to make it happen. They make excuses, blame circumstances, and allow their emotions to control their actions. This kind of person can appear in many forms. The one who continually starts projects but never finishes them. The person who pushes away good relationships out of insecurity. The employee who gets opportunities but ruins them with laziness or bad decisions. The individual who refuses to leave a toxic environment despite having the means to do so. The danger of helping a self-saboteur is that they often create a cycle. You offer support, they make a little progress, then they revert back to their old ways. They ask for help again and the cycle repeats. They might seem sincere in their desire to change, but deep down they are not ready to take responsibility for their actions. A Stoic must recognize that true change comes from within. You cannot force discipline upon someone who refuses to embrace it. Seneca said, "No man can help another unless he is willing to help himself." Helping a self-saboteur too much only enables their behavior. It allows them to remain passive, relying on others instead of taking control of their own destiny. The best way to deal with a self-saboteur is to set boundaries. Offer wisdom, but do not invest your energy in someone who continuously chooses failure over effort. A Stoic helps those who help themselves, but never those who refuse to break free from their own destructive patterns. 5. The manipulator. The manipulator is a master of deception. They use charm, guilt, and persuasion to exploit the kindness of others for their own benefit. They do not seek genuine help, they seek control. Every favor they ask, every tear they shed, and every story they tell is carefully designed to serve their agenda. Instead of working hard or taking responsibility for their actions, they manipulate others into doing the work for them. Stoicism teaches us to live with integrity, honesty, and reason. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." A Stoic values truth, while a manipulator distorts it. They twist facts, exaggerate their struggles, and create emotional traps to make others feel obligated to help them. They thrive on sympathy, knowing that good-hearted people are more likely to give in to their demands. This type of person can take many forms. The friend who constantly plays the victim to get favors. The co-worker who manipulates others into doing their job. The family member who uses guilt to demand financial or emotional support. The partner who controls through emotional blackmail and deception. Helping a manipulator only strengthens their tactics. They learn what works and continue to exploit it. At first, they may seem genuine, but over time their patterns become clear. They take but never give. They ask but never offer, and they always have an excuse when confronted with the truth. A Stoic must recognize when someone's requests are not rooted in true need, but in manipulation. Epictetus said, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." If we allow ourselves to be controlled by a manipulator's tactics, whether through guilt, fear, or obligation, we surrender our peace. The best way to deal with a manipulator is with firm boundaries and reason. Do not allow their emotions to dictate your decisions. Offer help when it is deserved, but do not allow yourself to be used. A Stoic helps out of wisdom, not guilt. The moment you realize that someone is manipulating your kindness, step back. True generosity comes from strength, not from being fooled by those who refuse to act with integrity. 6. The energy vampire. The energy vampire is a person who drains your mental, emotional, and even physical energy without giving anything meaningful in return. They are often negative, constantly complaining, and always in need of attention. No matter how much time or effort you give, they always seem to need more, leaving you exhausted, frustrated, and emotionally depleted. A Stoic understands that our time and energy are valuable. Seneca reminds us, people are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. An energy vampire does not respect this principle. They demand endless attention, vent their problems without seeking solutions, and bring drama and negativity into every conversation. This type of person can take many forms. The friend who constantly unloads their problems on you, but never listens when you need support. The co-worker who always finds something to complain about, poisoning the workplace atmosphere. The family member who thrives on drama and seeks to pull others into their chaos. The person who drains your motivation by constantly doubting, criticizing, or undermining your goals. Energy vampires are not always bad people. Sometimes they are simply unaware of their effect on others. However, their constant negativity and neediness create an emotional burden that affects your well-being. Stoicism teaches that we must guard our peace and focus our efforts on things that align with reason and virtue. Helping an energy vampire often leads to frustration because they are not truly looking for solutions. They want validation, attention, or someone to absorb their negativity. You may offer logical advice, but they ignore it. You may try to uplift them, but they resist positivity. This cycle continues, leaving you mentally exhausted. Epictetus teaches us, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. A Stoic does not waste time on endless negativity. The best way to deal with an energy vampire is to set boundaries. Do not allow their emotions to dictate your own. Offer support where it is reasonable, but protect your peace. If someone constantly drains you without contributing anything positive, it is wise to step away. Your energy is best spent on those who bring growth, not exhaustion. 7. The unwilling to change. The unwilling to change are those who say they want a better life, but refuse to take the necessary steps to improve themselves. They may complain about their circumstances, express frustration about their failures, and even seek advice, but when it comes time to act, they remain exactly where they are. No matter how much guidance, encouragement, or resources you provide, they will not make a real effort to grow. A Stoic understands that change is not just a desire, it is a responsibility. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The unwilling to change do not accept this truth. Instead, they blame their lack of progress on external circumstances, bad luck, or the actions of others. They seek help, not because they intend to act on it, but because they want to feel as though they are making an effort without actually doing the work. This kind of person appears in many forms. The person who constantly talks about their dreams but never takes action. The friend who asks for advice but repeatedly ignores it. The individual stuck in a bad habit, unwilling to make the sacrifices necessary for change. The person who refuses to leave a toxic situation, despite having the ability to do so. Helping the unwilling to change can be deeply frustrating. At first, you may feel hopeful, believing that with the right guidance or encouragement, they will finally take action. But time and time again, they remain in the same place, making the same excuses. They mistake talking about change for actually changing. Stoicism teaches us that personal growth is a choice, and no one can force another person to evolve. Seneca reminds us, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that they are difficult." The unwilling to change do not dare to take responsibility, to face discomfort, or to commit to the work that self-improvement requires. The best way to deal with such a person is to recognize that they must first choose to help themselves. You can offer wisdom, but you cannot walk their path for them. A Stoic does not waste energy on those who refuse to act. Change must come from within, and until they decide to embrace it, no amount of external help will make a difference. 8. The disrespect. The disrespectful are those who show no appreciation, gratitude, or basic courtesy, even when they receive help, kindness, or support. They take what is given, but do not acknowledge the effort behind it. They speak or act with rudeness, arrogance, or entitlement, as if they are owed everything without any regard for the person offering assistance. No matter how much you do for them, they fail to show respect, often making you feel as though your generosity was a mistake. A Stoic understands that respect is fundamental to human interaction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This means that while we should strive to be good and just, we must also recognize when others are not acting with the same virtue. The disrespectful do not value kindness, nor do they recognize when they are being given something they did not earn. This type of person can appear in many forms. The friend who constantly asks for favors but never says thank you. The family member who dismisses your generosity as if it were expected. The co-worker who takes credit for your efforts without acknowledging your role. The stranger who responds to kindness with rudeness or entitlement. Helping the disrespectful often leads to frustration and regret. You may feel that your good intentions were wasted, that your kindness was met with ingratitude, or that you were taken for granted. Over time, this type of behavior can make you resentful, questioning whether you should help others at all. Stoicism teaches us to give freely, but only where it is wise. Seneca said, "Kindness that is thrown away on an ungrateful person is like water poured into the sea." The disrespectful do not appreciate the value of what they receive, and because of that, they do not deserve continued help. A Stoic does not seek validation from others, but they also do not allow themselves to be disrespected. The best way to handle the disrespectful is to withdraw your support. If someone refuses to appreciate your kindness, let them experience life without it. Respect is not a privilege. It is a foundation of all meaningful relationships. If a person does not respect your help, they should not receive it. 9. The perpetual victim. The perpetual victim is someone who always sees themselves as helpless, powerless, and at the mercy of circumstances. They believe that life is unfair to them, that others are always to blame, and that they have no control over their situation. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions or working towards solutions, they dwell in self-pity, seeking constant sympathy and validation. A Stoic understands that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we always control how we respond. Epictetus reminds us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The perpetual victim refuses to embrace this truth. They reject accountability, making excuses for their failures instead of learning from them. They spend more time complaining about problems than solving them. This type of person manifests in different ways. The friend who constantly blames others for their struggles, but never takes action to improve. The co-worker who complains about work, but never puts in the effort to change their situation. The family member who refuses to take responsibility for their bad choices and expects others to fix their problems. The person who interprets constructive criticism as a personal attack, refusing to grow. The danger of helping the perpetual victim is that no matter what you do, it will never be enough. If you offer advice, they will say it doesn't apply to them. If you try to encourage them, they will insist their situation is hopeless. If you help them financially, emotionally, or physically, they will likely end up in the same position again, expecting even more support. Seneca warns us, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. The perpetual victim dismisses this wisdom because they believe their misfortunes are solely the fault of fate or other people. They do not see that their mindset keeps them trapped in the same cycle of failure and disappointment. A Stoic must recognize that helping someone who refuses to help themselves is a waste of effort. You cannot rescue someone who is determined to remain in distress. The best way to deal with a perpetual victim is to step back and let them face the consequences of their own choices. Growth only happens when a person accepts responsibility. Until then, no amount of help will make a difference. 10. The betrayer. The betrayer is someone who breaks trust, deceives, or turns against those who have helped them. They take what they need, accept kindness, and benefit from the generosity of others, only to abandon, undermine, or even harm the very people who supported them. They may be driven by self-interest, greed, insecurity, or a lack of loyalty, but the result is always the same. They cannot be trusted. A Stoic understands that trust is one of the most valuable things in life. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Trust is built on honesty and integrity, yet the betrayer disregards both. They may pretend to be loyal when it benefits them, but when challenges arise, they quickly show their true nature. This type of person can appear in many forms. The friend who turns their back on you when you need them the most. The business partner who takes advantage of your hard work for their own gain. The co-worker who pretends to support you but secretly sabotages your efforts. The family member who betrays confidence, spreading secrets or lies to others. Helping a betrayer is a dangerous mistake because they do not value loyalty, gratitude, or fairness. You may trust them once, only to be deceived again. You may offer them support, only to find that they were using you for their own selfish purposes. No matter how much you give, they will always prioritize their own interests above everything else. Epictetus teaches us, a man should live so that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. Trusting the wrong people makes us vulnerable to unnecessary suffering. A Stoic does not hold grudges, but they do learn from experience. If someone has betrayed you once, it is wise not to give them another opportunity to do so. The best way to deal with a betrayer is to distance yourself. Do not seek revenge or waste time on anger. Simply remove them from your life. A Stoic does not allow past betrayals to make them bitter, but they also do not repeat the same mistake. Trust should only be given to those who have proven themselves worthy of it.